Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zoom into Wine. It's time for the show and your host, Ian Blackburn.
Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock and time to Zoom into Wine. My name is Ian Blackburn. I'm a sommelier. I got some tall hair today. Bouncing around here because I'm excited about tonight's topic, Madeira. I've not done this before on Zoom, and I'm excited to bring it to you because, man, I love Madeira so much, and I think there's a lot of questions about it. And so we've done some research. We've put our little study caps on, and we've got a great show for you tonight about one of the world's greatest dessert wines. In fact, the reason we put this today is that this is the wine that Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson were literally drinking at the time they signed the Declaration of Independence. So this is a really important historic wine, maybe the first wine of America. And honestly, I think it's kind of still a really important wine to those avid collectors. And we're going to take you through a bunch of information tonight. So I'm going to lead off. Go ahead and get your first Madeira in the glass and just enjoy it. And let me rattle through about 20 quick slides to give us a little background on Madeira. That island in the back is not where King Kong comes from, although it looks a lot like it. That is where the King Kong of wines, Madeira, comes from. It is a little teeny island. Somehow, Portugal must have been absolutely savage to be able to keep this island for the last 500 years as their property, because it's really not that close to Portugal. It's off of North Africa, and I'm just, putting it out there. 500 years, that's a long time to keep an island that's not that close. And they must have done some savage things to be able to maintain this place. But a beautiful and very interesting spot, often famous because it searches really well as the most dangerous airport in the world, flying in and out of Madeira. We're talking Atlantic Ocean, 600 miles west of Morocco, volcanic soils and steep terraces, vineyards planted from sea level to high elevation. Wine's production dates from the 15th century, and it's very, very picturesque. Sugarcane was initially the island's primary crop. Wine grapes were later introduced by the Portuguese settlers. Madeira quickly became an important stop for ships traveling between Europe, Africa, India, and the Americas. That spice trade. The wine was loaded onto ships as ballasts and provisions. Nice example of a ship right there. During the long voyages, wine was exposed to heat and movement. So, old days, the wine was put on a barrel, and you go out to the ocean, and 10 days in, a regular barrel of wine would spoil from the tossing and the turning. So they started adding like a brandy spirit, a grape-based spirit to the wines to fortify them. That's how port got started. That's how Madeira got started. But the difference with Madeira is that they would leave the island, and those barrels would sit on the dock of the boat in the sunshine and boil. And that's where the word Madeirized came from, Madeira. It would basically cook and separate and become this like perfectly preserved wine that ages forever. Heat, oxygen, and time created richer flavors and extraordinary stability. The accidental discovery became the foundation of Madeira winemaking. One of the most popular wines in the colonial America, served at the signing of Declaration of Independence. Excuse me, I have something in my throat. Favored by George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Ben Franklin. By the late 1700s, Madeira was among the most prestigious wines in the American colonies. The Golden Age. 18th and early 19th centuries, dozens of merchants explored Madeira worldwide. British, Portuguese, and American trading houses flourished. Madeira became one of the world's most valuable luxury wines. Then a series of difficulties started to strike. We had odium, powdery mildew in the 1850s, phylloxera in the 1870s, declining export markets, 2 world wars, and a competition from other fortified wines. Industry consolidated dramatically. Modern producers preserved historic stocks. Focus shifted towards quality and heritage. Today, Madeira is considered one of the world's great collectible wines still, but very few producers remain. Virtually indestructible after opening, these wines, like literally bottle, I've got a bottle right here that we're going to taste from today, the 1990. I'll open it today. I could show this wine a year from now being opened, and it just will not, there will be zero diminishing returns. Except that I might drink it all, and somebody's got to pay for that. The wines can age for centuries. And in fact, if you were an astute collector, and I know one that did this about 40 years ago, he was able to buy an incredible amount of Madeira, literally sent people out looking for it. Madeiras from the 1700s, 1800s. He amassed a collection of over 3,000 bottles of wine pre-1900. And that investment, while it sounds large, has probably gone up 100 times in its value. You used to be able to buy wines from the 1800s for 30, 40, and 50 bucks. Madeira. It was, and we're not talking 100 years ago. We're talking about 50 years ago. So it has really, really changed. All right. So Madeira today, produced only on the island of Madeira. There are some, grocery store mass-produced wines that are Madeira in style. I believe one of the challenges at some point is that a lot of these dessert classics were being used in cooking, and there were cooking wine versions, things like marsala. They used to add salt to it to keep, and that wasn't to make it so you could cook with it. It was to keep the cooks away from drinking it. Yes. So dessert wine kind of did it to itself. It was the predominant wine. The dessert wine industry prior to World War II was as robust as the big red wines. I remember the number, a bottle of Trockenbeeren Ashles was the same price in 1945 as a bottle of Chateau Margaux. Just keep that in mind. So today, Madeira is a protected designation of origin, or DO, small product compared to the port and or sherry industry, one of the world's most historic and age-worthy wines still. And let's get into the production. These wines are fortified from the island of Madeira, being a little repetitive, sorry. Fortified during the fermentation with grape spirit, aged with deliberate exposure to heat and oxygen, available in styles from bone dry to very sweet. There are two methods of production. One is called the Cantero method. This means the wines are aged in oak barrels, oak casks. The barrels are stored basically up on the upper floors where it's warm. We're talking, they make them warm. They do things to the construction of the building so that those floors get warm and stay warm. And they wanted that they're heated naturally by the island's climate. And then the aging continues for decades. So the wines just literally sit there in the warmth of the sunshine and age in the barrel. This is called the Cantero method. Sorry, Cantero method. There is another method called the estufagem method, and this is where they are heated in controlled tanks, basically boiled. Faster and more economical, typically used for younger wines, maintains Madeira's characteristic cooked kind of nutty profile, authentic Madeira, but generally less prestigious than Cantero aged wines. Estufagem. Here are the different varietals that are used in the production. The noble varietals: Sercial, Verdelho, or Verdelho, Boal, and spelt both ways, Malvasia, aka Malmsey, Tarantes, and Tinta Negra. There's also a sweetness scale, moving from dry to medium sweet to sweet. And typically they kind of stay lockstep with the grape varieties. The Sercial is usually the drier one, with Verdelho as well. And then Boals and Malvasias or Malmseys are usually on the sweeter side. Here's a look at the classifications. You've got the 3-year, the 5-year reserve, 10-year special, 15 years extra special, or extra reserve, I should say, 20, 30, 40, and Colheita. And we're going to try a cross-section of those wines tonight. Here's a look at that, the island of Madeira. That is not the airport, I don't think, but maybe it is. That might be the famous runway. So again, heated during aging, naturally high acidity, which is a marker for Madeira. If you were in a blind tasting and maybe someone was trying to trick you with a tawny port versus a Madeira, that they have close to the same alcohol. Madeira is typically a little bit lower than port being closer to 20 and Madeira closer to 17. But that's hard to detect. What you can feel is this bracing acidity that we're going to explore tonight. And that comes from the island and the weather and the character, and that maturation process accentuates that. Here are the big 5 producers that exist today. We're talking about an industry that had 30, 40, 50, maybe more producers back when Madeira was cranking. And everything consolidated and consolidated again and consolidated even a 3rd time, 15th time. So very few. I believe there are 7 or 8 producers on the island, but these are the big 5. And tonight our wines are going to be from Blandy's and the brand de Oliveros in the center there. There's a couple other active producers. The future, growing interest among sommelier and collectors. Absolutely. These wines are made to be on the wall. You're sitting at the bar after a beautiful dinner at a fantastic restaurant. Let's celebrate with something. How about a wine from your birth year? How about a wine from your grandfather's birth year? They have them open at top restaurants, and they serve them by the ounce. Exceptional value compared to other collectible wines. Historic stocks remain available. That is 100% true. And one of the wine world's greatest hidden treasures. That is my little intro to get us started. I'm going to now take you to our website where if you wanted to find something fun from Madeira, you could just search and you'll see quite a selection. I have a good number. I can never have enough. I actually sell it at a really solid rate, and I'm very proud of our collection. There's 26 Madeira on the website from an assortment of vintages. My oldest is a 1937, sitting in just light of $1,400 a bottle. There's 78 Torrantes that's pretty rare, about $5.30 a bottle. So you can get a variety of different price points. But tonight, we're now going to taste a great flight of wines, and let's get into wine number one, celebrating 250 years of America with a great flight of Madeira. Our first wine comes from the family known as Broadbent. Broadbents have been importing wines from all over the world into America for a very long time. I actually, Mr. Broadbent, Senior, who has now passed, he was the importer, and he was an incredible man of wine, an Englishman who appreciated fine wine way ahead of his time. And if you want the most accurate ratings on wines from the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, Michael Broadbent, his rating, he used a 5-star rating. That's how he did it. If you find a 5-star Michael Broadbent wine from the 40s, 50s, or 60s, I would put more credence in that vote than some other reviewers' 95 to 100 point score. Was that good, and he's proven it to me time and time again. And if you know anything about my dinners in Los Angeles, we do some really old wines, and I buy exclusively Michael Broadbent, 4 or 5-star rated vintages, producers, when I'm going into the dark corners and say, hey, how's a 1928? How's a 1949? How's a 1954? I look for Broadbent's marks. That was him. He was an importer, a distributor. His son has taken over the business and done great work. And they maintain a great relationship where one of the Madeira houses makes a wine known as Rainwater for the Broadbent family. Rainwater is like the entry level. All the producers basically call it Rainwater, and they all make one. It is that 3-year wine, that 3-year minimum. It's simple. It comes probably all from a Stufagin, and it's made for, nice daily affordability. And there's a nice look at the island of Madeira. The grapes are planted all over the place, but typically at higher elevation. Lower elevation, they'll plant vegetables and yeah, there are some things like you would predict, bananas, etc. And those are also done at the lower elevations. The higher elevations are grapes. Couple beautiful shots to set the mood. Aged in oak casks for at least 3 years. Madeira, warm and luscious in both its dry and sweet variations. Makes an excellent wine for winter and for holiday season. Clear, dark, reddish copper in color. It breathes classic and very appealing Madeira scents of dried dates and figs and mixed nuts. Smooth and gently sweet. It's not a sticky dessert, but shows good fresh fruit sweetness built on Madeira's sturdy core of tart, lemony acidity. This Rainwater allows the producers to use a wide assortment of different grapes. So the different grape varieties that we've already shown you a picture of, they could all be blended together. Some years might be one varietal over another. Some of the grape varieties like Torrontés are almost non-existent on the island, making Torrontés-based Madeira a little more expensive than probably it needs to be, just because it's rare. And certain varietals just are not as abundant. Robert Parker, wine advocate, reviewed this wine, 90 points. Medium dry is an attractive wine, displaying aromas of fresh walnuts, dates, and orange peel. I like that. On the palate, it's full-bodied, satiny texture and delicately sweet with succulent acids, excellent definition, and an elegantly middleweight drinkable profile that is true to the category. This bottle was shipped in 2015. That was the review of 2015. I bet you what we have in stock here, it might even say might have the date of bottling. 19% alcohol. It does not list it on the bottle. Maybe on the tag. There's like a little Portuguese tag up here. I bet we could find out.
What was the question about residual sugar?
No, the question was about what year was this particular iteration produced, because the review was from a bottle that was shipped in 2015, and that is not this bottle. But residual sugar is really going to be tough to nail unless you're really good at it, because the acidities are so high. But I bet we could Google search it and come up with a good number for you.
I already did that. I already looked up the sugar for all estimates for all these. So yeah.
Oh, look at you! Give it to me. What do you got?
It said normally about 8% for this one. It varies year to year, so that would put it in the medium range.
8%. That seems low to me.
Seems high to me. It doesn't seem that sweet.
Okay. Usually they measure sugar in grams per liter. Did they give you that number?
For low numbers, it's the same. 8% equals 8 grams per 100 milliliters or 80 grams per liter.
Okay. So you're saying 8% is 80 grams?
Per liter. I've bought wines mistakenly based on 100 milliliters or liter, and it's off by a factor of 10. So yeah, that's a curse of the system.
Okay. So 80 is a good number. 80 grams. That seems right to me.
Per liter, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. We're looking at a $20 bottle that once you open it, again, you could choose to put it in the refrigerator. I would in California. Um, and like to serve them just a little bit lower than room temperature, but you're to each your own. If you keep it in your wine cellar, that's even better. I do like to keep them out of the way of little fruit flies and stuff like that. They get attracted to the sweetness if you leave it on your counter in the warmth of the summer. But a great little banging wine that you can go to and count on and have at night. There are people that talk about the benefits of having kind of a high, um, not high alcohol, but something with some alcohol as benefits to digestion, benefits to being able to sleep well, and a little sip every night. Perfect. Very popular to do that in Europe, not as popular in America, where we tend to be adverse to sweet wines and adverse to dessert. So, uh, maybe all these GLP-1s will result in people going back and having dessert again. Uh, as on the flip side of this trend, we'll see what happens. But man, there is a world of great dessert wines. This is at the top of the pedestal, and this is like the least expensive version you can find. Okay, solid, dependable, nothing wrong with it. Gets better from here. Let's go into wine number 2. Any questions? We're going to do a 10-year-old Sercial. Curious what your research showed about the RS on this one.
The estimate was 2%. This is really on the dry side, or you would say 20 grams per liter. So
20 grams. Okay. Let's see how that checks out. Now, we're tasting the 10, and this is a blend where it's not like basically one barrel that's 10 years old, but they can blend various barrels together to make it like it's 10. So you can have some 8, you can have some 12, some 15, things like that, and put it together.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Everything is at least 10 years old, or the average is 10 years old, or what's the wording on that?
It's average. It's not even it's not even, they don't even care what the equation is.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to present it as you're calling it 10 years old, and they have to approve it.
Okay.
And so if some people will err on the side of making sure it's worthy of that 10-year category. Another nice little map. My designer's changing the map every time we go through the mix. Now, none of the producers are getting super singular about where on the island the fruit is coming from. There's no famous Clos or Grand Cru or site selected Madeiras that I know of. That doesn't mean it doesn't really exist, because it might. And I bet if you go to the island of Madeira, there's some little producer that says, "Oh, it comes from the Great Rock," or whatever, and they might have something. But in America, the importers have never presented anything to me that has anything like that. They're just a wine from the island, and they are sourcing fruit from all over the island. And with all that consolidation, you own vineyards everywhere. So Blandy's very distinguished brand, very historic. Been involved in the business since 1811, and 2 centuries and 7 generations producing excellent wines. There is a Blandy's family member on the East Coast. They came in and bought almost all of my wine off of our website. We bought it early. We were buying it 3 cases of each at a time during the pandemic. I had very good stocks. I had more stock than the distributor. And so they came in, and I sent 10 cases to Pennsylvania to the Blandy's family. I guess it was for a tasting that they were doing. It was cheaper for them to do it that way than to ship it over from Portugal. I have some stocks left. When I go into, after these bottles are gone on the website, the bottles I'm showing you right now, these are 500 mLs. They don't make these anymore. They went to 750s. So what I have is the last of the 375s, and they will go to 750 sizes, which is fine. Doesn't go bad anyway. Here's our Sercial. Pay attention to the smell, the composition, how it's presented, nutty, citrus. Let's come up with our own words too. Lots of orange peel, apricot.
Yeah, I'd sent out of it, and I think wood is the one I was smelling.
You're getting some wood?
I think so.
I do a lot of cheese classes and use a lot of dried fruit spreads, etc. And fig paste is a big one, and that's what I get here. There's a look at the Sercial grape variety. It is a white grape variety. After phylloxera devastated Madeira's vineyards, the grape became more common on the mainland. Esgana or Esgana chow, meaning strangler or dog strangler. I wonder what's the story there about dog strangler, but grapes and dogs aren't great friends. And that is possible. Some dog ate a bunch of grapes and didn't do so well, because it can actually impact a dog's ability to breathe. $92 points, wine enthusiast. As warmer weather approaches, this is wine that should immediately come to mind at aperitif time. This bone-dry style, with its imitable nutty character, is so fresh, so vibrant. It has some tannins, enlivening acidity, giving a great lift at the end. Bring on the freshly salted roasted almonds. You can see the different ideas here about growing the grapes, putting a little canopy behind it. They're growing everywhere. The 10-year jumps to about $39 for the half bottle of Sercial. Beautiful nose. I think some people would smell this and still think it's sweet and dessert, but certainly could be as described as an aperitif in the warm summer months. After you put that in your mouth, just feel the length and count the seconds. That is the acidity just chiseling away at your palate. 10, 20, 30. And it keeps going.
Yeah, I could taste that for a long time.
Port wine won't do that. Vinsanto won't do that. Hungarian Tokaj, Sauterne, Canadian ice wine. None of them have that. This is the mark of Madeira, that incredible acidity. We continue. Wine number 3, Verdelho, 10-year. Same Blandy's producer. Lots of little backyards, hillsides. Look how beautiful it is. It looks like the set of a movie. Clear and bright topaz color, or color as they would say, or at least as we would say, the way they write it. Golden hue right up to the rim, fresh and fragrant bouquet of dried fruits and spice, with luxurious, warm, orangey aromas. Lots of orange peel. Medium dry and full-bodied. Verdelho, what is our RS now? Are we in the 40 range, 50?
Well, it said, yeah, 5% or 50 per, yeah.
Concentrated and fresh with pleasant, zesty bittersweet edge from the finely balanced acidity. Verdelho. Let's see, most famous for its role in the production of fortified wines of Madeira. There is one of the where it's one of the drier and fresher, higher acid of the 4 standard varietal labeled Madeira wines. Other incarnation is as a dry white wine in Australia, and it's regularly encountered as such. While most associated with Madeira, a recent study has acclaimed the variety actually originates in the Azores. The aromatic profile of Verdelho is crisp, sometimes with leafy and spicy accents, produces a vibrant lemon, citrus, and pear notes on the nose, with a light, powdery phenol texture on the back palate aftertaste, often making it a match for various light dishes. I get a marked jump in like this almost brown sugar note on the nose. Really pretty. Makes my mouth water crazy. 90 points, Robert Parker. Dried quince, orange peel, and a touch of seawater. It's the description. I do think you can get that salty as well.
I like your butter description, like buttered popcorn or something.
Yeah. And texturally, it's there too, right? Delicious, lengthy. I actually think I prefer that so far. Where are we on price? I think it's pretty close to the other. The main port, $36.95. I will say that a little PR for Verdelho. I liked it. It's the slowest seller of the gang, and I just don't think enough people have tried it. I think it's kind of trapped in the middle. People wanted extra dry or they wanted extra sweet. This kind of falls right down the middle. And tonight, my favorite so far. Gang, we continue to Zoom every Wednesday as much as we can. And we have an incredible Zinfandel presentation next week. My friend Clay Morrison's going to join me On July 8th, we're going to talk a little rap about Zin. He'll be wine number one. He'll be first up. He'll be live with me. And I hope you guys can join me. The flight of Zinfandels that we're going to be showing next week are true champions. And so take a look at Zoom into Wine. You'll see that lineup. I'm going to add some more to stock. But I think we're going to be pretty huge next week on this too. We're going to have over 20, maybe 24 people on the Zoom with Clay, and we'll see who else I can't get on board. But Turley, Storybook, Martinelli, Mortson, Outpost, Limerick Lane. That's pretty damn top-notch set of wines. You're going to love it. And I want to put one more plug out there for you, because I know a lot of you are members. You've been doing this with me for a long time. And if you're a member, there's this Zoom on July 15th is free. Use your member code and it'll wipe out that cost. We ask you to pay for shipping or just buy some wine and we can slip the sleeve in with the wine. It's only a 3-wine flight. That's why we can do that for this particular Zoom. But it's a blind tasting. We're going to have fun with the members only that night. Come and join us. If you don't have a member code and you want to do it, let me know. We'll get you on board because you're watching this Zoom with me. Let's go back into our slideshow to already the 4th one. Now, a couple years back, one of my suppliers, known as Rare Wine Company, they very wisely said, hey, Broadbent's going over there and negotiating some Madeira. We should do the same thing. And so they came up with a very different look. And by the way, I get some of my top Madeira from Rare Wine Company. So they went over and bought some stocks and created these blends. One's called the New York Malmsey. The other one's called the Boston Boal, the historic series. There's some very old wines in these, and they're beautifully made. I'll let you decide which one you think is worth your dollars. But represent more than 30 iconic producers exclusively for either California or the U.S. That's the company, Rare Wine Company. Vigorously championed several dozen others whose wines and philosophies are they deeply admire. They're very selective about who they represent. Rare Wine Company has an incredible book, really top brands. Fierce advocates for wines and regions we believe were neglected in the world spotlight, helped restore the prominence wines threatened with virtual extinction. Helped restore to prominence wines threatened with virtual extinction. So they really took the kind of the underdog approach, and that paid off well for them, as they have brands that are so loyal to them and have been involved with them for a long time. Look, here's the pergola system working in some of their vineyards. You can see, great way to protect the canopies. That's ancient, but very much in fashion right now. Here's a look at the New York bottling, the New York Malmsey Special Reserve. Remember, we saw that markation at the beginning where Rainwater's 3. This is at least 5 or 10, I believe, the Special Reserve. So there's more age involved here, and Rare Wine Company Historic Series represents a close collaboration between Rare Wine Company and Vinos Barbeito. Each wine is made up of 85% of the stated varietal selected from parcels of wine 10 to 20 years of age. Each wine is named for an American seaport where Madeira was popular in the 18th and 19th centuries. Malmsey. Malmsey is now used almost exclusively for the sweet variety of Madeira wine made from the Malvasia grape. These grapes are used to produce white and more rarely red table wines, dessert wines, and fortified wines. You'll find Malvasia wines made in a lot of Europe, from Greece to Italy, and I'm sure there's some examples in France as well.
Yeah, Ian, I'm up here in Santa Rosa, and Rare Wine Company was just 10 miles away in Sonoma, so I would regularly stop there and drop some paychecks occasionally. So yeah, that was there. I had this access to the source. So.
Awesome. Good job.
Yeah.
Suckling gave this wine 96 points. Dense and rich with a wide spectrum of baked apricot, caramelized orange, and dried date character. And behind this is a huge structure with great acidity, keeps it very straight and on the expansive and energetic palate. Stunning length and nutty complexity as a super long finish, drinker hold. 96 points. We're at 66. Now this is a full 750 bottling. So a very good deal. Good price point. Beautiful package.
Malmsey's and Malvasia's target 11 to 12% for sugar. So
110 to 120 grams
per liter, yeah. And that's comparable to most ports.
Correct. And yet, this is so special.
Yeah, very different.
Blood orange, like this kind of like I could see myself choosing this instead of an old fashioned, cocktail, sitting in a bar, just taking small sips and enjoying. This has got tons of character. It's got this fantastic richness, and that flavor, I'm 30 seconds and going, and it's just continuing to unwind.
Are you aware of anyone using Madeira for mixed drinks or something? I know they use port sometimes but does anyone make anything out of Madeira, any drinks?
I'm sure they do. I'm a little guilty. I pay no attention to mixed drinks. I don't drink them. I don't drink whiskey. All my friends love whiskey, bourbon, all that stuff. I'll have one if I'm at a concert and the wine's going to suck or something like that. But I don't drink sake at a sushi bar. I drink wine. So I'm a wine guy. And I do love the idea, though. And there's one of my clients, and I wish he was here to watch us talk about him. He's just the most interesting man ever. He shows up to my dinners with a flask in his pocket or a bottle of really old Madeira. This is the guy I was telling you about earlier, bought all that Madeira. He brings it out with him all the time. And so we were at a dinner recently where it was 1847. He shared it with the table. Incredible. Hope you enjoyed the Malmsey. We go straight into a wine now labeled as Malvasia by Vieras. This is a really sexy producer. The packaging, super classic. These wines are brought in by Rare Wine Company. I buy them directly from Rare Wine Company. I keep a growing number of them. And I love having, like, I just did a email recently, birth year wines. So I'm trying to fill some holes. I'll look, they change their selection about every 3 to 6 months. They'll say, now you can get the 90. And then the next time, oh, you don't get the 90 anymore. We're doing 89. They went back in time, or they went to 92, and they'll have, a recent, like a 5, 10 type of time period, a middle age one that's, 1968, and then super old, and they'll have some stuff from the early century. Those get into the 4-digit numbers pretty fast, those old ones. So I'm better around the 1990 vintage. Uh, as soon as I start selling $2,000 bottles of Madeira, I'll really know I've made it. But this is super old school, one of the greatest of the classic Madeira shippers, and they survived from the pre-phylloxera era, origins as far back as 1820. Today housed in the cellars that date from 1619. But as a company, the name started in 1820. Highly important company, is still owned by the same family, who were once highly important growers in the parish of São Martinho. The foundation for an unparalleled library of ancient vintages was laid more than 150 years ago in the legendary São Martinho vineyards of Hoa or Hoe or Jose or de Oliveira, the great grandfather of the current managing director, Luis de Oliveira. 1896, the New York Madeira merchant Charles Bellows singled out São Martinho Verdelhos from others on the island for their wonderful perfume. So remember I said somebody out there has probably got like a Grand Cru? That might be the one. Love the package, love the story. Every bottle comes looking just like that. Painted by hand in 2018. So the 1990 was there for 28 years before they even bothered to paint the bottle. Aged 28 years in French oak barrels. Their lodge is in the heart of Funchal, that major port city. Lovely nose of raisins, honey, and candied orange. On the palate, very nutty, with ginger, maple syrup, mandarin, and orange peel. Sweet with great acidity and amazing intensity. We're probably the same numbers, right? 110 to 120.
Yeah, the number I had was just there's some legal range, and 11 to 12 was right in the middle of it. So yeah. What is that interesting aftertaste I'm getting? I can't describe it.
Let me, I'm a little guilty. I was still enjoying that one before.
Okay.
Oh, there's definitely like the last one was pretty and you're like, oh, that's very, very nice. And then you hit this one and you're like, oh, that's got that extra character to it. And you can tell that this was made hyper authentic. We're at 400 a bottle on the 1990. So a pretty big jump. That's where the comes from, because you just got kicked in the lower part of your stomach.
And it's great. That's right in my wheelhouse.
Oof. Mm. And I mean, I don't need it to get any better than this, to be honest. This is like I do take this to special dinner events, and I think that this is one of the greatest dessert pairing wines that there is. You can have it with, fruit tarts, apple pie, uh, any type of cheese plate, blue cheese, um, certainly orange peels, chocolate even works with it. Caramel, oh my God, salted caramel and chocolate. And this wine right here, that's it. I don't even need to drink it. I just love smelling it. That's another level when I don't have to drink it to love it. I just need to smell it. That's the prime lane right there. I hope it's making you as happy as it is me. I am going to pour this one back into that little flask, and I'm going to enjoy this one after we're done shooting.
It clearly has the biggest nose of all of them.
Yeah. 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 Unfortunately, with wine, you tend to get what you pay for, especially when it's great. One more plug for some trips I'm working on. We've got New Zealand. That date is bad. We moved it from November to April of next year. We got a sold out group going to Champagne. We're in April with New Zealand. I've got a trip. All these are messed up. Let me show you something else. Bad slide. Sorry. I go to learn about wine. I go to the event calendar to wine travel. And here we go. Sonoma, Champagne, Napa in February, French Laundry included. Washington, New Zealand, Spain, Tuscany, Barolo. And things are looking good. We're getting a little bit more traction than we were for a while. People were getting a little iffy on travel, starting to step up and get out there. I think things are going to go very well. We got a lot of interest on the New Zealand trip, and I expect that to be going forward. Our final wine, we move to a grape known as Boal. This is another iteration from the rare wine company, Boston Boal Special Reserve. I just wanted to be able to taste those two Malmsey wines side by side. And then to be able to take on Boal onto its own. Again, this is a repeat of the slide before about Rare Wine Company. Wow, that's dramatic. Very cool. Sweeter than either. They make one called the Charleston Sercial or the Savannah Verdelho. Verdelho, sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Sorry about that. Verdelho. Boston Boal still boasts incredible balance and refreshing acidity. Hallmark of this wine is its otherworldly complexity, featuring cinnamon clove spiciness with overtones of citrus peel and wood smoke. Just enough sweetness to excel as an after-dinner wine, but its long, dry finish will make it work beautifully with food. It's by 85% Boal and about 15% Tinta Negro Mole. That's another important grape in Madeira.
I never see a wine labeled Tinto Verde Mole. Does that just anonymously go into blends, or what happens to most of it?
Oh, I carry a Tinta Negra.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, it isn't very common. It isn't. I think the one we have is a 95. I think we still have it. But I typically have one on the website. This one received 96 points again from Suckling. These are their cellars, pristine, beautiful wood. Same price, $66.95. They're all line price. They're all the same. All the wines from the Rare Wine Company, same price. I sell them. I bring 5 or 6 more bottles in of each. Was there a difference on Boal, or is this in that 110 to 120 range?
No, it's between Verdelho and Malmsey, and so this is at like what did it say, 9%. So yeah, it's the next level down from Malvasia.
Okay. So 90 grams per liter.
Yeah.
There is something that's just a little more weight and dark and red flesh about Boal. I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'd love to get your comments, feedback, ideas. What'd you guys think of the wines? Had you tasted Madeira like that before?
Yeah, I mentioned my original passion was dessert wines, and one of your slides you had a bunch of old Madeiras, and one of those was sitting on my trophy shelf, the 1900 Muscatel one. So yeah, the 100-year-old ones are really great because most of the liquid has evaporated by that time, and you're left with sugar and sweetness. So this was like 770 grams. So that's my passion, the ones that have been in really in there for a long time.
Yeah, you can see the evaporation sometimes in the bottle. You'll see some crystals and stuff.
This was my oldest one, 1834.
All right.
Abe Lincoln was in high school. Yeah.
So, Ian, I put a question in at the beginning. So, is sugar ever added, or is this just from incomplete fermentation when the higher spirits are added?
Yeah, they allow for fermentation to begin but not finish, and they are picked quite ripe, and they do add the spirit, which it replaces fermentation basically.
Right, it kills the fruit.
Yeah.
So there's no sugar added. It's just
No.
It's all residual sugar. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe what they could do is tweak it by having some unfermented juices, and that I'm sure that's taking place. That's what they would do in port wine production of 10 years as well. You're going to taste different hillsides, different vineyard selections, and some of those are going to have different sugar levels as well. So, as far as like a Swiss reserve type of thing where it's some additional sweetness, I guess it is possible. They could use in California, we can use some fruit concentrate or something like that. I would have to check with the Madeira police to see what they said about that. But
the island's pretty warm. I bet they could get them as ripe as they needed to out there. So
yeah. I don't think they're lacking in sugar. Things ripen there pretty well. It's definitely a great place to grow things. Just there's not enough island, and it's pretty pretty steep, and it's an expensive place to get things to and things off of that island. So, but Madeira is still a very important industry. It is distributed all over the world. I encourage you, next time you go out to dinner, think about looking at the restaurant's dessert wine list. You're in a good restaurant when they actually have a good dessert wine list, and there's no excuse not to have a bottle of Madeira. And unfortunately,
it doesn't spoil if you treat it right.
There's no waste, so it's just a perfect thing to have as a restaurateur, in lieu of other things too, please. So I don't care if it's the Rainwater or something vintage. You can't sell it if you don't have it. One of the greatest Madeira nights I ever had was at the old Meadowood Resort in Napa Valley. We just finished a fantastic multi-course meal. Chef Chris was there. This is pre-fires. And behind the bar, they had this shelf with maybe 30 different vintages of Madeira. And some of them were from the 1800s. I think I got to, it was maybe like a Christmas gathering there. And so I had something pretty special from either 1900 or 1901. And it wasn't the, it was a glass. It wasn't the whole bottle. It was expensive, but it was well worth it. And a great place to do that.
That brings up a point. Some places don't have it on the dessert menu, but it is at the bar. They'll have some Madeira. So.
That's true. That is true. And yeah, a little sad about that too. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. David K., are you out there? Did you enjoy, sir? I see you, cannot hear you.
We're
muted, Dave.
doing 8 things at once. Hi, Gary. Yeah, it was really good. It's one of the things I didn't study a lot about Madeira, and I really like it. And this is really neat to run through. And this is something I'm going to be looking into and enjoying at a restaurant next time. This is really good. It's really good. Like it.
You're always like the person that gets invited to another dinner right away when you show up with a bottle of early 1900s Madeira. Oh, yeah. It's a winner, and people will freak out. When I show these wines at our special dinners, I'll get maybe a bottle or two order for some of the wines from the dinner. But almost everybody at the table wants to buy a bottle of the Madeira because they haven't never had it before. They didn't know about it. And it's a revelation. I think dessert wines are in that place right now because we just, as a culture, we're not tasting them and eating them with the great meals. And they really are the things that I think build amazing memories and keep people at the table a little bit longer. And I've been told they help you sleep well and help with digestion. So spread the good news, and let's find some more dessert wine lovers out there. Thank you guys for your time tonight. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for doing this. It was a fun one.
Hey, Ian.
Sir.
It seems that one of our referees, you worked at the same company at one point.
Who might that
Michael
be?
Biaggi?
Oh, yes, Cobran. Oh, wow, he is a ref. That's so cool.
He mostly referees youth games, so I didn't really watch him. I was watching our national level refs, but we were at the same tournament this past weekend up in Long Beach. So it was
really good dude, man. Really good dude. Yeah, he's done well. He's stayed there for a long time, and he's risen to the top.
So he referees more. I do some youth referees sometimes, but I was focusing more on the refs for the adult games this weekend.
Well, awesome.
So I go off at the end of this month to Salt Lake City for an all youth tournament where I'm giving some classes and coaching all youth referees.
Well, you're back, right? So I can now reach out to you and we can talk about what's coming down the pipe, and we have
Yeah,
some.
I'm signed up for one. One of them I can't come to, and one you haven't given prices yet. And I have some credits. We have to go over that.
Yeah, we'll work all that out. Are you around tomorrow?
Yes,
I'll write down to give you a call tomorrow if we can. I
that's
got
fine.
on top of a couple things right now, but I'll chat with you tomorrow about everything. We'll get you all fixed up.
Yeah, we were just drinking Rieslings in the Finger Lakes.
Oh.
Sweet.
And I want to show you this before we go. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, all right.
Excellent. Yeah, you got one too. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
1875.
Yes, we
Wow.
did. Ulysses S. Grant was president.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
you're on the Zoom. Look at this one. This is like when I was a kid, my dad came home from work with this bottle. I don't know what it is. I think it's port from 1840.
Okay. Yeah.
But this has been on my shelf since I was 7 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is it empty? Is it empty or full?
No, it was completely drained and
Okay.
drank long ago. But
Yeah, the stenciled ones. There's hardly any clues.
yeah.
Is there any writing on the glass on the bottom, like what country it was from or anything? No.
Well, I do think it was. You know what? It could be from anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a port style bottle though, with that neck on there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. And there's just like an S and an RL on the bottom that looks kind of like the brand or something. But
okay. Yeah, cool.
I never saw anything like that. But yeah, I've been to Portugal a couple of times. I never saw. I walked into a lot of stores. I didn't see anything like this either. So it could be a California,
A simulation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Cool.
But thank you guys.
All right. I'll probably see you at the Cabernet one coming
Yeah,
up.
I mean, Portugal holding Madeira goes back to the same time as when Spain had the Canary Islands, and the Canary Islands is still part of Spain. It was part of when these were basically naval armada countries.
Yep.
Well, like Ian said, they were stopping points for the ships coming back and forth. So yeah, that was pretty good.
Load, keep it moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were rich in resources, and probably they just kept loading up. They weren't even unloading. They were just loading up, or maybe unloading to sell to other people that were coming to load.
They were also part of the slave trade, going from
That's for
Africa
sure.
to
Yeah, I
the
didn't want to say that.
Americas
Yeah.
without having to go back through European mainland ports.
Yeah. That's the dark side of this story, for sure. Thanks, guys.
Night.
Take care.